Namaste, everyone. So Trump almost got killed, but I'm glad that he didn't die. If there were any doubts about him having a very good chance of winning again, those doubts have been effectively eroded. I listened to his speech at the RNC, and much of what he said made my ears perk up and has made me consider giving him a second chance after having turned against him. What I found particularly intriguing were his points about immigration and his low key reference to Aryan theology, if you read between the lines, namely about us living in the Kali Yuga and us getting out of it and us moving on to a new golden age. Overall, he made some really good, some really sattvic points, which are a far cry from Biden's rhetoric. Whenever he does his speeches, you can barely understand him. The guy's a walking vegetable and so geriatric that he can't even talk anymore. He's clearly in no state to lead the country. He couldn't even talk in that last debate, and he keeps making rhetorical mistakes like calling Zelensky President Putin. That being said, I'm glad he finally came to his senses and dropped out and realized his time has come. Trump is going to be much better by miles. RFK Jr. would be much better by miles too. Although I will have to admit that I'm going to have to retract my support for him as he's turned into a Kremlin shill, espousing the oft-repeated false talking point about NATO provoking the Ukraine war. But we are wandering from the subject at hand. As it pertains to this year's U.S. election, there's an unequivocal statement that I have to make about this matter. When Trump was in the White House, there was no dictatorship, no new wars, talks to end the Afghan war and bring the troops home, talks to resolve the frozen conflict between the two Koreas, no forbiddance of any of the dharmic religions, and no persecution of the good and of the righteous. Therefore, I would ignore everything that the media has been harping about him for the past 8 to 9 years. I would also ignore everything that the media has been harping about Brexit and the Brexiteers for the past 8 years. His egocentric personality and inner nature can be off-putting. Many of you may be unaware of this, but Trump back in the 70s actually helped out considerably with Aryan and Vedic culture gaining a foothold in America through the first Ratha Yatra procession in New York, the first Hindu festival of this kind in the nation. He had the permit for it approved. That's one of the facts about his legacy that makes him redeemable in my book. The Don's also been getting a lot of flack for his VP choice by Chambalas and Asuras, who purports to have any understanding of the pre-Christian European worldview, some understanding, some smattering of an understanding of the pre-Christian European worldview, and also by satanic evangelists who devour raw cock on a daily, because Vance's spouse is a religious Hindu Indian, and for inviting the Khalistani Harmeet Dillon, who did a Sikh prayer at the RNC. Wagnots don't like Trump anymore, with their whole spiel being opposing and overturning illegal immigration isn't enough. If he comes to power again, he has to oppose and overturn non-white legal migration as well. We'll have to see what happens, because he's mentioned that his would-be government's going to carry out the largest deportation operation in the nation's history, and also that it's going to issue out green cards willy-nilly to everyone who completes their college education in the US moving forward, therefore providing a method for Indians and Asians to overrun and replace whites there. As if skilled college graduates of Aryan extraction are the same specimen and in the same league as illegal aliens not qualified for anything but low-skilled and low-paying jobs. Talk about disingenuity. Overall, I'd say he's pretty much still the only and best option in the coming US election, and this is where I end my dissertation. Thank you for watching.